The hammer went up. The hammer came down. The cycle repeated itself over the course of a year. His son had put him back here. His son hadn't returned to pick him up. Not even to stop by to just say hello. Not even to bring him a hamburger. B.T. Justice had been here once before, but he'd managed to regain his position once more. Now, again, he was back to making big rocks into little rocks. The hammer went up. His son was married. The hammer came down to another man. B.T. let go of the handle of the hammer and looked up and shaded his face from the sun. Soon, perhaps within the hour, it would be behind Lifesaver Mountain. That meant they'd be stopping for lunch soon. "Let's pick up that hammer and keep moving, prisoner 322-14539. Those rocks aren't going to throw themselves against your hammer and break themselves now." The guard, covered head to toe in a brown uniform with a mirrored helmet visor, stood and pointed to the sledgehammer with his baton. The hammer went up. The hammer came back down. Where had it all gone wrong? Not just once, but twice, he had the acid rat and its crew in his hands. The opportunity to redeem himself had escaped, just like the crew of the acid rat. There was only one person to blame. That person must be made to suffer just as B.T. had suffered in the hot sun on Brecthanion. That person eventually would be dealt with. The hammer went up. The hammer came down. Officer Stan Gumpshaw had somehow corrupted his son. He had twisted the boy's thoughts like a piece of clay. His son being gay wasn't that difficult to accept. He'd always assumed the boy would marry a shrew that would twist the boy. He hadn't suspected another officer would see the opportunity to seduce his boy and use him as a tool against the very father that had raised him. That he just couldn't tolerate. The hammer went up. The hammer came down. Soon, perhaps in another few months, perhaps in a year, B.T. Justice would be released. He would be healthier for having spent all his time making little rocks out of big rocks. His mind had all the time it needed to plot revenge. Stan Gumpshaw would feel all that revenge. Well, maybe not all that revenge. He would need to save a little bit for the crew of the SS Acid Rat. The hammer went up. The hammer came down. "Junior, bring me a hamburger," he said under his breath. In his mind, the drink was cool, refreshing, and took him away from this place. In his mind, the hammer stopped going up and coming down.
You've been listening to Hollow, V&A Shipping, Book 2, written and read by J.R. Murdoch. For more information about this production and its author, visit jrmurdoch.com. There are a lot of ways you can choose to spend your time. Thank you for choosing to spend it with me.